So we're supposed to talk about our understanding of balanced literacy. So I've done so much research on this and phonics and whole language, and it gets very deep. I've read so many journal articles, and a lot of them seem to not be able to come to a common definition as to what anything really is. Aside from phonics, phonics is pretty basic, but like whole language and balance. So what is like the balanced approach? Balanced approach is really that. It's a balance of different things, but of what? Is it a balance of reading and writing? Yes. Is it a balance of teacher explicit instruction and child-centered learning? Yes. Is it a balance between phonics and whole language? Yes. Does it contain guided reading, shared reading, and independent reading? Yes. So it's many different things. And I believe it's just utilizing many different methods to best teach our students. Now, does that mean we can't use phonics? No, we can use phonics. And I think we should start using phonics because that is the basic building blocks of words, right? Learn the letters, learn the letter sounds, and learn the blends. Super important. I don't think you can run before you can walk. I don't think you should try. Which I think is what the idea of whole language is. Whole language is more, from what I've read, looking at words, sight words, and that type of thing. Instead of looking at just the letters, you're looking at the whole word. You always have to, when you're building a house, you have to start with the foundation. And you build from the bottom up. And that's just the way I kind of look at it. Whole language was a very progressive approach. Started by, I think, Ken Goodman was his name. And so, you have to use what works. And what may work for some of our students may not work for others. So that's another part of the balance, right? We have to use differentiation in that because some students might not be on the same levels as others. I think you also have to look at the size of the classroom that you're going to be in. Is it going to have 30 students or is it going to have like 15 students, 15 to 20? Because the more kids in a class, the more difficult anything is going to be. You have to deal with the control of the class first, the behaviors, and if you don't have that in place, then no instruction will take place. So the more kids, I've been working at a public school, Toledo Public Schools, and there's going to be probably 28 to 30 kids in the classroom. That's pretty much a given. And the more students in a class, the more systematic things really need to be. Systematic, I almost want to use the word robotic, even though that's probably a bad word in teaching. But so it's like, how can phonics would be very easy to teach in that regard because it's very basic, it's very structured, it's very systematic in itself. Now when you deal with whole language, you're going to have a lot of individual monitoring of students. And when you have so many of them, it becomes, can become very difficult, I would imagine. I think that, nothing is really cut and dried. When you get all these different definitions of everything and different people they're saying, oh, whole language is this. And then I read another article that says, oh, no, whole language is not that. Whole language is this. So nothing seems to be set in stone as far as any kind of real definition you can get to. And, there's not one basic blueprint that we can follow. And that makes it very difficult to learn this. So basically, the balanced literacy is just you're going to use what you can use. You should use a variety of techniques that's best going to suit your students. You're going to be using phonics. You're going to have them independently read, like grab a book that they're interested in and have them sit down in the reading corner or whatever and just try to go through it and, try to sound out words themselves and that type of thing. That's kind of what I get out of the balanced literacy approach. What I hope to get out of the class is different. I'm all about techniques. Show me what works. Give me an example of what works. What should I do? Something more like a blueprint to follow. That's kind of what I want. Like when I read in chapter 1 about the teacher that put their thumb over part of the word and let the student kind of figure out, they couldn't pronounce the whole word, but okay, you can pronounce the first part of the word, and now just tack on this last part. Now what is it? Instead of just giving the answer. So that's a lot of balance. The part of the balanced literacy is the active student engagement. I read about that, and that's exactly what that is. It's letting the kids figure some stuff out for themselves. And I do believe that's how we all learn. You can be shown something, like I can show you how to make a lasagna, and you can be like, okay, yeah, I get that. But then if you go to do it yourself, you're probably, forget a lot of the steps, and you might be, okay, well, how did we do this, and what goes first, and, how, should the noodles be harder or softer? All this type of nuances come into play. And so, yeah, it gets real tricky real quick. So, thank you so much.